Calvin Klein leadership applauds Jungkook's global impact after Rolling Stone moment in the aftermath of Jungkook's triple Rolling Stone cover. The response from Calvin Klein was not limited to visuals or captions. It moved upward, straight into the highest level of brand leadership, where the conversation shifted from campaign success to global market impact. David Savman, the global brand president of Calvin Klein, publicly acknowledged Jungkook's influence as far more than that of a traditional brand ambassador. His remarks did not frame Jungkook as a temporary cultural spark, but as a strategic force capable of reshaping how the brand connects with audiences across continents. The distinction matters. Savman is not a spokesperson commenting on aesthetics. As global brand president, he oversees Calvin Klein's worldwide strategy, from product direction to marketing and marketplace positioning. When someone in that role highlights an individual's impact, it signals that the effect is being measured not just in engagement, but in structural value. According to Savman, Jungkook's appearance on Rolling Stone across the UK, Japan, and Korea represented a rare convergence of cultural authority and commercial resonance. He emphasized that Jungkook connects with consumers in different regions without dilution, something global brands continuously seek but rarely achieve. Markets respond to him not as a localized figure, but as a shared reference point. This response aligns with what Calvin Klein has observed since appointing Jungkook as a global ambassador. The brand has seen heightened visibility not only in Asia, but also in Western markets traditionally driven by legacy appeal. Savman noted that Jungkook's presence accelerates relevance among younger consumers while maintaining credibility with long-established audiences, a balance that few modern icons can sustain. What makes Savman's praise especially telling is its tone. There was no emphasis on short-term buzz, no fixation on viral numbers. Instead, the language pointed toward longevity. Jungkook was described as someone who embodies the brand's values naturally, allowing Calvin Klein to speak more quietly while still commanding attention. This echoes the now iconic in his Element caption. From leadership's perspective, Jungkook's impact lies in his ability to exist confidently within the brand's identity rather than overpower it. He does not compete with the product. He stabilizes it. Savman's acknowledgement also subtly reframes Jungkook's role within the global fashion ecosystem. He is not positioned as a celebrity endorsement designed to boost quarterly figures. He is positioned as a cultural partner whose presence influences how the brand is perceived across regions with vastly different consumer behaviors. That perspective explains why Calvin Klein was willing to wait through Jungkook's military service before reactivating major campaigns. As Savman indicated, the brand viewed the waiting period not as lost time, but as an investment in alignment. When Jungkook returned, the response validated that decision. While Stefan Larsson, CEO of PVH Corporation, oversees the parent company's broader strategy, Savman's comments make clear that within Calvin Klein itself, Jungkook is now seen as a pillar of global brand direction rather than a single campaign highlight. The Rolling Stone moment, then, becomes more than a media achievement. It becomes proof of concept. From Calvin Klein's leadership perspective, Jungkook's influence extends beyond fandom enthusiasm into measurable global market relevance. His ability to resonate simultaneously in the UK, Japan, and Korea confirms what the brand has already integrated into its long-term strategy. Jungkook does not follow global trends, he synchronizes them. And when a global brand president publicly recognizes that level of impact, it signals that Jungkook's role in fashion, much like his role in music, has moved from participation to authority. From endorsement to strategy, why Calvin Klein treats Jungkook as a global asset, not a campaign what? Happens when praise from brand leadership stops sounding like admiration and starts sounding like alignment. That is the quiet shift embedded in Calvin Klein's response to Jungkook's Rolling Stone moment. David Savman's acknowledgement was not framed as a congratulatory remark following a successful cover. It read more like confirmation of a decision already made deep inside the brand's global strategy rooms. Because when a global brand president speaks about an artist's influence on multiple markets at once, the subtext is unmistakable. Jungkook is no longer being evaluated on reach alone. He is being evaluated on coherence, on his ability to unify markets that typically behave differently, consume differently, and respond to imagery through entirely different cultural lenses that UK consumers engage through legacy credibility. Japanese consumers through precision and detail. Korean consumers through emotional authenticity and origin pride. Savman's praise implicitly recognizes that Jungkook activates all three simultaneously without requiring recalibration. That is not marketing efficiency. That is cultural leverage. This is where Jungkook's role shifts from endorsement to infrastructure. For Calvin Klein, a brand built on restraint and clarity, volatility is risk. Trends spike and fade.
Viral moments burn fast.
What Savman highlighted was Jungkook's ability to reduce that volatility. His presence stabilizes attention. It allows the brand to communicate less while meaning more. That is rare. Most celebrity partnerships demand constant narrative reinforcement. New angles, louder visuals, sharper hooks. Jungkook's impact works in reverse. The more controlled the messaging, the stronger the response. In His Element did not need elaboration because the audience already filled in the meaning. Savman's recognition confirms that Calvin Klein understands this dynamic at an executive level. IT also reframes how global influence is now measured. Not by how loudly a figure dominates conversation, but by how seamlessly they integrate into multiple cultural systems without friction. Jungkook does not disrupt markets by force. He aligns with them by presence. That alignment is what turns influence into longevity, and longevity is the language executives speak fluently. This explains why Jungkook's Rolling Stone covers mattered to Calvin Klein far beyond editorial prestige. They've validated the brand's long-term positioning choice. A figure capable of standing at the center of three culturally distinct Rolling Stone editions is a figure capable of anchoring a global fashion narrative without fragmentation. Savman's comments suggest that Calvin Klein sees Jungkook not as someone who brings attention temporarily, but as someone who helps define how attention behaves. That distinction is critical. Temporary attention spikes require constant renewal. Defined attention reshapes consumer memory. It builds association over time. Jungkook's image, increasingly calm and controlled, lends itself to that slower, deeper imprint. From a strategic standpoint, this is the ideal scenario. A global ambassador who does not exhaust the brand's identity, but reinforces it by existing within it naturally. And perhaps the most telling signal is what Savman did not say. There was no emphasis on Jungkook as a K-pop star. No regional labeling.
No gender framing.
He was discussed as a global figure whose impact transcends categorization. That omission is deliberate. It reflects an understanding that labels, at this stage, only limit perception. Calvin Klein's leadership is no longer selling Jungkook to the world. The world already recognizes him. What the brand is doing now is positioning itself within Jungkook's orbit, ensuring that as his influence continues to expand, Calvin Klein remains part of the environment in which that influence is expressed. This is not reactive marketing, that IT is anticipatory alignment, and it explains why Jungkook's relationship with Calvin Klein feels less like a collaboration and more like a long-term convergence of identities. As global pop culture continues to decentralize, brands are forced to choose between chasing momentum or anchoring themselves to figures who generate it naturally. Savman's praise makes Calvin Klein's choice clear. Jungkook is not a moment to capitalize on, he is a structure to build around. And in the language of global brand leadership, that is the highest form of endorsement possible. Why executive praise matters more than headlines in Jungkook's global moment in the world of global brands. Words spoken at the executive level carry a different weight. They are not designed for fandom consumption. They are meant for investors, partners, and long-term strategists. That is why David Savman's recognition of Jungkook's global impact resonates far beyond a Rolling Stone headlines. When a global brand president frames an artist's influence as cross-market and sustainable, it signals that the conversation has moved out of the campaign room and into the boardroom. This is a crucial distinction. Campaign success is measured in weeks. Brand impact is measured in years. Savman's remarks indicate that Jungkook belongs to the latter category. His Rolling Stone appearance did not simply generate attention. It reinforced confidence in Calvin Klein's global positioning strategy at a time when brands are under pressure to remain culturally relevant without sacrificing identity. Jungkook offers that balance. From Calvin Klein's perspective, his appeal is not concentrated in one demographic or region. It moves fluidly between East and West. between youth-driven digital culture and legacy-driven fashion credibility. That fluidity reduces risk. It allows the brand to speak with one voice globally instead of fragmenting its messaging, and fragmentation is the silent killer of global brands. Savman's acknowledgement also underscores a broader shift in how cultural power is perceived. Influence is no longer validated by Western dominance alone. The fact that Jungkook can anchor Rolling Stone covers in the UK, Japan, and Korea simultaneously demonstrates a new model of global relevance, one where cultural authority is distributed rather than centralized. Calvin Klein's leadership understands this shift. While aligning with Jungkook, the brand aligns itself with the future structure of global culture rather than its past hierarchies. Savman's comments implicitly recognize that Jungkook represents not just popularity, but cultural fluency across systems that used to operate separately. This is why the Rolling Stone moment is viewed internally as confirmation rather than surprise. Jungkook's calm, controlled image post-military service aligns with Calvin Klein's core identity of restraint and confidence. The brand does not need to amplify him excessively because his presence already carries meaning. This allows Calvin Klein to maintain aesthetic integrity while still benefiting from immense global attention. That equilibrium is rare, and it is why executive praise, delivered without exaggeration, becomes more significant than any viral reaction. IT tells the industry that Jungkook is not being used to chase relevance. He is being trusted to sustain IT. As BTS prepares for its next era, this trust takes on even greater importance. Jungkook's individual authority feeds back into the group's global perception, reinforcing BTS not as a nostalgia-driven phenomenon, but as an evolving cultural force. From a brand leadership standpoint, this creates a virtuous cycle. Individual maturity strengthens collective legacy. Collective legacy amplifies individual presence. Calvin Klein's partnership with Jungkook sits comfortably within that cycle, and that is why Savman's praise feels measured rather than effusive. Measured praise suggests certainty. IT suggests that the brand is not reacting to Jungkook's impact. IT is operating with the assumption that his influence will continue to shape global markets. In a landscape obsessed with short-term wins, that assumption is bold. And it confirms what the Rolling Stone covers quietly communicated from the beginning. Jungkook is no longer a variable. He is a constant. And constants are what global strategies are built on. When a global brand bets on constancy, Jungkook as a long-term market signal. The most revealing aspect of Calvin Klein's response to Jungkook's Rolling Stone moment is not the praise itself, but the confidence embedded within it. Confidence suggests forecasting. It suggests that leadership is not reacting to a peak, but identifying a plateau they believe will hold. In business terms, that matters more than hype. David Savman's acknowledgement positions Jungkook as a stabilizing signal in an increasingly volatile global market. Consumer attention is fragmented. Trends collapse faster than they form. Cultural loyalty is harder to sustain across borders. In that environment, a figure who can anchor perception across regions becomes invaluable. Jungkook does exactly that. He does not require localization to resonate. His image, language, and presence travel intact. That consistency reduces friction for a global brand. It allows Calvin Klein to present a unified identity in markets that traditionally demand customization. Savman's praise implicitly recognizes this efficiency, not as cost-saving, but as meaning-preserving. Meaning, once diluted, is difficult to recover. This is why the Rolling Stone covers mattered internally. They demonstrated that Jungkook's authority does not fracture under different cultural lenses. UK audiences read him as legitimate. Japanese audiences read him as refined. Korean audiences read him as evolved.
No contradiction emerged.
Only reinforcement. From a leadership perspective, that is rare alignment. IT also reframes Jungkook's influence in economic terms. He does not simply generate demand. He shapes expectation. Consumers begin to associate calm confidence, restraint, and maturity with both the artist and the brand. That association compounds over time. It becomes memory, not moment. Savman's remarks suggest Calvin Klein is already thinking in those terms. This is why Jungkook's military hiatus did not weaken the partnership. It strengthened it. Waiting signaled belief in durability. When Jungkook returned, the Rolling Stone moment validated that belief, not through spectacle, but through coherence, and coherence is what brands